Hello. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in life, like you're trying to move forward to the next thing that God has called you to do or the next thing you dream of doing, but you see no way to do it? That's how I've been feeling lately with my women's ministry. A couple years ago, got the process started with a Christian women's ministry called Arise Women's Ministry, and we started the legal process to becoming a nonprofit organization. And about a week ago, I just realized I don't know how to take the next step to move forward in this, and I was feeling very frustrated and discouraged. And then I remembered the story in Exodus 14 of when God parted the Red Sea and his people walked across on dry land. And the thing is, they didn't know he was going to do that. So God helped them get out of Egypt. Moses led them out into the wilderness, and God was leading them. But then they camped near the Red Sea, and then the Egyptian army started coming after them to capture them and take them back. And they just saw the army coming on one side, and they saw the sea on the other side, and they're like, what do we do? We're going to die out here. But then God made a way. But they were, for a little while there, they were in that place where they didn't know what God was going to do for them. And this story encourages me, and it encouraged me last week when I was feeling super discouraged, that God is a way maker, and we don't always know what he's going to do to make a path across a sea on dry land. So I just want to read Exodus 14 for you because I think someone else might need to hear it and know that God is a way maker. And if you're feeling stuck and you don't know how to move forward, wait for God to show you and have faith that he's going to do that for you. Okay, I'm going to read this for you. Exodus 14. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea, directly opposite Baal-zephon. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord." So the Israelites did this. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, "What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services." So he had his chariot made ready and took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, pursued the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi-hahiroth, opposite Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians'? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other side, so neither went near the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He made the wheels of their chariots come off so that they had difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on their right and on their left. That day the Lord saved Israel from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shore. And when the Israelites saw the great power the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him and in Moses his servant. And I wanted to point out one thing that I remembered as I was reading it, is that God said it was for his glory, to bring glory to himself, that he would cause this to happen and cause the Egyptians to chase after them and then part the sea, and the Israelites cross through on dry ground, and then the Egyptians get swept into the sea. All of that God did for his glory. And that was so that they and we would know that he is God and he is the one with the power to do those mighty things. So if you're waiting on God to make a way for you because you are unable to do it yourself, that's a good thing, because he is going to show up for you and make a way and bring glory to himself. So I just pray that I will continue to be patient in the waiting and just watch to see how God's going to make a way.